Shut up and sit down.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the STS Guys. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Scott.
I'm Leo.
Larry.
And this week we have a jam-packed episode full of lots of different topics. This week we're going to be doing some intros. We're going to be doing some talking about Netflix's Death Note. We're going to talk about some news from Marvel that it's kind of rubbing some people the wrong way. We got some information from the DC Extended Universe, and then we have this week's buys. So we'll go ahead and kick it to Scott.
Perfect. So one of the things that we wanted to do, since we didn't really get a chance to last week because we were completely making fun of Iron Fist for a little bit, was to actually kind of go over who we are, kind of what we like, and kind of why we're, I guess, doing this podcast. So I wanted to get started here. I'm Scott, and some of the things that I guess call me the subject matter expert on is anything movies, video game, TV, just kind of general entertainment, I guess, is my general area.
So what you're saying is you're like a nerd generalist.
I am a nerd generalist. They call me, I guess the best way to put it would be the jack of all nerds, which is not a very good joke apparently, since none of you guys are gone. So, the specialty of mine though is just general jackassery. I like to make fun of myself and everyone else. So that's kind of where I go.
I would agree with that. Like I said, it's a very, very succinct and accurate description of you, Scott.
I'm Leo. I have to say, of the four of us, I'm probably the most boring of the group in terms of interests. If it has a plaque or if it's on a list somewhere under the National Park Service, I'm all about researching it. I love collecting just information. So I'm a total nerd, but not from the sense of from the comic book or
the conventional nerd that we all
now Leo, I'm like, you gotta give yourself a little bit more credit than that. Like I said, I would probably say droning.
I do love droning.
Droning.
So I went out for the eclipse. Obviously the sun, because it's up there. But I did get some pretty good shots of the ground, folks looking up, that kind of stuff. So I do love droning. That is a lot of fun.
The other thing too, Leo is one of our resident early adopters for a lot of things technology. Anytime there's a Kickstarter or a new project, Leo tends to know all about the project and has probably pre-ordered something before anyone even knows it exists.
Yeah, I am quite the crowdsourcer. In fact, I lost money on one. One of them went bankrupt about a month ago. So there's a class action right now going on in California. They're trying to sue it. Yeah.
So you gotta be part of that to get your $2?
Yeah, my $2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Larry. Probably my main interest right now for the past few years, everything Funko, right? So big into Pops, big into Dorbs, any other random stuff that comes up. Really enjoy the MCU movies. Not so much of a DC fan. Kind of.
No one is.
Right? Well. Yeah. Hi, Nate.
Not to offend anybody on here, Nate. Sorry.
Yeah, hi, Nate.
But yeah, we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Right. So that kind of stuff. Watch a lot of cartoons with my kid. So I've seen every episode of Teen Titans Go, Steven Universe, that kind of stuff. Play a little video games, mostly Nintendo. Yeah. Just a little bit about me.
So now, Larry, I saw you have. So you talked about a little bit last week about your collection. So is it?
So for those of you, I don't know what's going on here. But we have some appetizers here on the table, and apparently Jeremy is a magnet for toothpicks.
Of
all things, they're just sticking to him every time he puts his arm anywhere.
What the fuck was I even talking about? Funko Pops. So like I said, today we're gonna have some interesting content here later on the channel. Larry, do you want to tell us a little bit about that package that you brought in today?
Oh yeah, so we recorded a video. Mercari had kind of a deal where you could, new users got $10 off the purchase of $15 or more, so I grabbed a pop, right, because that's what I do. And it came gift wrapped in tissue paper by a nice young lady, included a postcard with lots of X's and O's and little hearts.
It was cute.
It was cute, right? I bought a lot of stuff on eBay. I've never had anyone gift wrapped anything for me before.
Helping kind of undo that box. That was like well packed. Like that someone took care. Like that's not like me, like the Mongoloid, like taping together a bunch of just wrapping paper in a bundle. Like they actually had like creased corners. Like it was nice.
Well, like I said, half the shit that I get, like I said, it looks like someone like a monkey put it in, like banged it on the box, and then the postal service like shook it like a cocktail, and then after happenstance, like finally arrives at my door.
You mean when I sell things online, I shouldn't first hit them with a hammer? Because I think that's
probably not.
I think that's kind of standard.
1 star.
Yeah, just 1 star. Just yeah.
So,
parking was horrible. 1 star.
So I am last on the list. So my name is Jeremy. Kind of like Scott, I consider myself a general nerdist. I am into pretty much everything Marvel. I like some DC comics rather than DC movies. I have a pretty good collection of Funko Pops. I have a collection of statues. Like I said, pretty much everything Marvel. Like I said, just to kind of put it out there, my all-time favorite are Marvel. My license plate on the 2 cars, I have Marvel on 1 car and comics on the other car, so it's one of those things where I've been into it for quite a while. Probably my newest passion is collecting comic original art. So as soon as I go to some different cons, I'll be sharing some of that information with you guys through some of the video posts that we'll be doing. With that, we got our introductions done. Let's jump into some topics, guys.
Let's do it.
So one of the very first things that we want to jump into is a new Netflix movie. So this was something that I know I was excited for. I know everyone was kind of excited for it as well, just because of who's in it and then just the general material is Death Note. So spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Death Note, with the exception of the 2 of us, out of the 4 of us here, we don't care if we spoil it for you guys.
Yeah. You guys probably aren't going to watch it anyway, so... Here's what I'll say. If you're a fan of the Death Note anime and you're thinking, should I watch the Death Note movie on Netflix? My recommendation is don't. It had some good points, but overall, it's going the way of every other anime to live action that everyone else has ever done. It's shit.
So, for someone who hasn't seen it yet, is this a movie adaptation of a series, or is it a series that Netflix picked up?
So, what they did is they tried to condense probably 30-minute episodes of an anime, of basically a TV show, condense that down into a 1.5-hour span. So right there is already problems, because you just don't have the level of detail that you can go into, right? In a movie that is that condensed from a source material that is 10 times longer than what you could ever put in a decent movie, you're never going to be able to put the level of detail. You don't have that level of the character development that can slowly build up over time. It's just... I think my problem with it is it's that character development. There is no development, and they got the characters wrong.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So I mostly agree with Scott, with the exception of I didn't think it was shit. I just thought it had a lot of opportunity. Like I said, well, first and foremost, to get Willem Dafoe as Ryuk in there, like I said, the voice that he does, like I said, it kind of brought me back to like so when he did the Green Goblin voice in the very first Spider-Man.
It's 100% Green Goblin.
Yeah, it sounds like that. It brings that character up. I honestly thought, like I said, he did a better job as Ryuk than he actually did as the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Because, like I said,
and I'll say, outside of Willem Dafoe, he was the only one that I actually really liked in the movie. Just in general, if you've ever seen the character, and we'll maybe try to put something up or just a comparison here. The saddest thing is, I don't even think he really would have had to put him in any type of like prosthetics or anything. He just he looks scary enough to pull off the character as he is. But then they CG'd him into like a demon, and it made it even better, right? But like I said, I think my main issue with it is the characterization of the characters. I think the main character
specifically Light. I know we talked a little bit before.
Yeah.
Before everyone came over about some of the different characterizations, but Light specifically, I think that's where the number one opportunity was.
Yeah. So and I know we're doing a kind of note the already did the spoiler thing, but if you ever watch the anime, the character Light and the way he goes is very much like for me it's like Breaking Bad. You have a normal guy character who gets something, in this case he gets this death note that if he writes a person's name, they die, right? He writes a person's name in the book, it kills that person. Who then starts to go on like, oh, I'm going to kill all the criminals. Anybody who commits a crime, I'm going to write their name in here and kill them. Where he slowly turns into this unlikable, just megalomaniac at the end, who actually refers to himself as the New World God.
Yeah. Like I said, he becomes an irredeemable character.
Right. You actually like him at the beginning, and at the end of it, you hate him and are actually rooting for the people to catch him. Whereas this Light was a whiny little bitch throughout the entire movie and didn't show any forethought until the last 10 minutes of the movie. I just didn't like the way that they portrayed him.
Yeah, as far as Light goes, like I said, I think you kind of got it spot on with how he was. I think it's one of those things where it took a while for him to develop. I think honestly, probably the biggest scene I had problems with him in was when he very first gets introduced into Reich.
Oh, the scream heard around the world.
The scream heard around the world in the classroom.
Right.
I think there was just I didn't buy it.
Dude.
I didn't believe it. I didn't feel for the character.
You know what it reminded me of? Is everyone remembers the scene in the first Ace Ventura when the shark comes out and Ace Ventura does the scream and it's not like with the mouth thing? It basically was, he was like emanating that. And it's supposed to be the scary thing. I literally started laughing at the scene where it's supposed to be scary. It was almost to the point where I almost turned it off. But you hadn't actually heard Willem Dafoe talk at that point, and so I was like, I'll hold out just until he comes on the screen. Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. So, Scott, had you watched it by the time you had texted me about it?
I got about halfway through. Okay. That's what I said. I was like, Willem Dafoe knocks it out of the park. The rest of the movie, I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, so Scott actually texts me, and so he's like, hey, because we had talked about it before. He's like, Death Note dropped on Netflix. I'm like, oh, sweet. He's like, Willem Dafoe kills it. That's about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay. So I went into it kind of like unbiased, whatever. I flipped on Netflix and started watching it. And I'm like, dude, Willem Dafoe does kill it.
Yeah.
But Light, man, he's just sort of whiny little bitch.
Now, I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy that they brought in to play L. Now I know there's the whole online controversy because in that show he's a white guy and they got a black guy to play him. The first half of that movie, he knocks it out of the park. He is actually probably the only other person where I was like, he actually studied up on how his character should be, the way he sits, the way he kind of
his mannerisms,
the way he talks, the patterns and things where he's very succinct and thinks about everything that he says is right on what it should be. Until he suddenly becomes, I'm going to go be the cop and basically break every aspect of his character up until that point and just flips that switch and suddenly becomes halfway through the movie. I love the way he was that first half.
No, I completely agree with that. It's the characterization of L halfway through the movie it completely flips. It's almost like it's a completely separate character.
So one of the things that did plague this was Netflix got the rights to this show, and I really think they had. I believe that they had started writing a script when they were first in talks to get the rights to it, because they got that thing. It was only 8 or 9 months ago when they actually announced that it was showing up, and now it's there. They rushed through this to get it out, and I think that they should have taken a little bit more time to really go back over that story and get that a little bit fleshed out and those characters a little bit better before they really went through it. I think they needed to take a little bit more time.
And you know what I would have liked to see? And let me know if you agree with this. Instead of a movie, I thought it would have been worked so much better as a live action series.
Live action series, 100%, because you have that time to build those characters up. And the other thing too is one of the characters in the show, Mia, who in this version is Light's girlfriend, who's actually kind of turns into the bad guy of the show.
Yeah.
She's like one of the main bad guys. In the anime, she actually is obsessed with the main character and actually gets her own death note so that she can get him out of trouble when he gets caught, basically. And he uses her. So I didn't like how she became kind of the bad guy. I didn't like her as the bad guy. I think I wanted her to go away by halfway through the movie.
Well, she did go away.
She does go away in very spectacular form. I do have to say, though, the special effects for the death scenes, Netflix put some money into that. Because the kid getting decapitated with the ladder was pretty fucking graphic.
Yeah, the practical special effects actually was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
If anything, I think it leaves it open. I think at the very end, like I said, it leaves it open for them to do a follow-up movie.
You don't know what happens at the end.
Yeah. If anything, what this did was it made me want to go actually watch the actual
the anime.
Well, not only the anime, the actual Japanese live action.
The live action ones.
The live action.
Which suffered a lot of the same negatives that the American one did. If you ever look at kind of the reviews on that one, they suffered kind of a similar fate because of the rushed characters.
Yeah.
One last thing I think that I want to kind of go over here and kind of bitch about is I did have one problem with Ryuk in that, who is, for anybody not knowing, Ryuk is basically a Grim Reaper who has a notebook that, like I said, if you write a name in it, person dies. In the original source material, Ryuk gives the death note to humans for fun. He has no motives. He has nothing that he wants to do. He just gets bored and one day decides, I'm going to screw with some people. Let's see what happens if I give this guy a note. Let's see what he does. And it just happens to be somebody who has a very specific personality to become kind of a megalomaniac. In this version, he's more of an evil figure where he kind of at one point he threatens Light to be like, hey, if you don't keep using this book, I'm going to go find another user, and guess what's the first name I'm going to have them put in that book is, kind of thing. He actually is more of a he kind of has more of an evil nature versus kind of that hey, I just want to fuck around thing, Now,
I honestly think that that's a result of you have William Dafoe, you have to
go evil. You have to go evil,
and you have to go and use him. So I think
that laugh.
I think that's the characterization of basically using Willem Dafoe as Ryuk.
He did his Green Goblin laugh that he reprises back to the show just fits so goddamn well.
It was
one of the things where a lot of people think that when they did the voice actor, it was based on kind of his gravelly voice is that. He didn't. I wouldn't even think that they auditioned. I think they sought him out to get that voice. So it was quite. He did a phenomenal job. But that's all I can say about that.
If anything, I said we want to know your thoughts out there. Definitely, watch. It's definitely worth a watch just because to see a live action Death Note is pretty cool. But we want to know your thoughts. Make sure to leave some comments down below just to let us know what you kind of thought of Death Note, and so that we can maybe discuss it next week.
Cool. All
right, what else is on the agenda today, boys?
One of the things I wanted to bring up actually was going through the news last night, and Marvel Comics, I don't know, with their new Legacy thing, I don't know what the fuck they're doing to try to piss off as many small comic book shops as they can. I think that's their goal. But I just found out last night that actually one of our local comic book shops has actually dropped out of selling the lenticular cover version of the new Legacy comic lines that are dropping here. I think it's October, right? Is when the big Legacy series comes out. So it's October. So the October series. Apparently, comic book shops can't just flat out order those lenticular covers for those books. Marvel has actually dictated that you have to buy a certain number of the non-lenticular cover of each of those books to be able to then qualify to purchase the lenticular cover. So, what that means for a lot of people is if you have 10 people that want the lenticular copy and 20 people that want the non-lenticular, you might have to buy 50 of the non-lenticular cover to be able to purchase that lenticular.
All right, so right there, let's just do a quick survey with all of us. Let's say we had the options between the two covers, saying, hey, you have the standard cover right here, and you have the lenticular cover right here. I know what I'm voting for. I'm going for the lenticular.
I'm going for that 3D lenticular. every time.
Leo, I know you're not much into comics.
I'm not, but like I'm looking at some pictures online on my phone here of like different covers, and I'd have to say personally, like I like. There's been DVD covers that have the graphics and such, and I would like that more as opposed to a flat image. But when did the lenticulars sort of start taking notoriety? Like you have some issue ones that wouldn't have had that, right? So I think it
hasn't been till recently where a lot of issue ones came out with the lenticular. I think DC's Metal started having some of the
even
covers
DC,
like
DC
that.
Metal, I said, isn't lenticular. Those are foil stamps.
Those are foil stamp, yeah.
Back maybe like 3 years ago, maybe it was 2-3 years ago, they came out with basically the villain lenticular covers. That was DC's first kind of entry into kind of like, hey, like having some mainstream lenticular covers. The latest lenticular covers that came out were for the button, right? The button that came out.
Those were the first ones I ever saw. Was with the Fab Out covers for the button.
So yeah, Jason Fabak basically did all the art for basically the button story arc, which so the lenticular covers on it are pretty badass. So I said you brought one specifically. I said that and then we went to the Comic-Con and got signed by Mr. Fabak with the Flash. It was like the new Flash and the old Flash together.
Yeah, I forget which issue that was exactly, but yeah, I grabbed that one. Right, I think that might be my first and only lenticular cover that I own. But it was pretty cool. I also got the regular ones for was it Batman 23?
Yeah.
So right, I think I had the choice of getting a lenticular, and I didn't for that one for whatever reason. So for me, really, it's a toss-up. Like it depends on what I want it for. In my level of interest in comic books is so low. Like if I just wanted to own it, I'd probably just grab it. If the regular one was the only one on the shelf, it wouldn't matter.
Right. Well, and I think too, like I said, it's. Well, here's the thing. Maybe if there was a huge price difference between the two of them,
But they're not.
But they're not.
They're the same price.
There's not a huge
Is
price.
there a
difference.
value difference between the two?
No, not right now. I mean, over time.
Well, and
potentially,
that brings up a point because, like I said, if you have a lot of these smaller shops not carrying these lenticular covers, basically. Marvel is going to be producing as many lenticular because they're not going to be selling as many.
So that was my
basically
folded question.
So
value propaganda.
Yeah, so they're creating their own market and scarcity.
they're trying to push it up, and
Do you think that's why they're doing this?
I don't know. I don't think it's why they're doing it. I think they want the money. I think they're trying to force these shops to buy more of their books. To be honest.
So, but the shops would have to obviously, if they buy more of these regular covers and don't sell them in an effort just to get the lenticulars, they now have regular covers just sitting on the shelves as dead inventory.
Yeah.
Yep, it's dead inventory. It's exactly what it is for a lot of these books.
And here's the thing: after, like I said, a good 3 months of books sitting themselves, they end up in a dollar bin. So where, like I said, value prospectors, like I said, they'll go just because they want to read them, not even because they want to collect them. They'll go in, they'll pick them up for $1. So basically, it's 25% of what their actual value is. So it's one of those things where, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with it. Actually, there's a couple of different things that have happened lately that are kind of along those same lines. It's one of those things where it's I don't know. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I don't like what they're doing. I think coming up here, there's a market for those lenticulars that a lot of people, that's what they're going to go for. I mean, not often, or not within the last couple of years, has it really been that those lenticular, those special covers come out with issue 1.
Yeah.
Where they have that 2 options for it. So this is a big deal to be able to get something from the first printing to get that special cover. And now half the stores are either going to have to bankrupt themselves, not necessarily bankrupt, but like buy themselves so they can actually offer that.
And I think that's what my personal sticking point is. Like I said, specifically with comics, I really like to support the local shops. Just because, like I said, it's a hard business to be in. Like I said, every once in a while, I'll have to go online. Like I said, with DC's latest thing, I had to go online, but for some weird reason, like I said, I end up with a local copy of someone who actually sold it. But it's one of those things where, like I said, I like to support local however I can.
So I'm just kind of thinking, right? Again, I know very little about comic book stores and comic book industry, but is it a thing where if I decide I have to buy those 50 from Marvel in order to get the lenticulars, can I then take my lenticulars and try to charge more than cover price for them, or is that completely off the table?
Well, that's a good point to bring up, because like I said, if that's the case, because I know they have the retailer incentives Which I'm thinking
Yeah.
they could probably charge more for.
They do.
I think a lot of stores were thinking that eventually, but then they have some of these big box stores like out of like Mile High out of Colorado, and you got like all some of the big stores, Midtown, New York, and a couple of different ones out of LA, where their customer base is large enough where this didn't affect them, so they're buying all the lenticulars. And there's actually so one of the shops out there I saw actually for like about $170 you can buy just all the regular covers and lenticular covers. Like they're offering an incentive to buy it. So really, if you're the store, I think that's going to put a squash to a lot of the local shops trying to jump up those prices, right, to make up for that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go online first, at least, right? If I know I can get it from Midtown from their website, I'm gonna go there
and order it online. And so you're not going to that local shop to pay extra for the book that you can order online for the regular price and buy. I think there's 39 covers that all dropped in October, right? That have the lenticular to it.
That's crazy.
So you can buy all 39 plus the regular.
That's a different story.
That's a different story. Why the fuck do you have that many covers dropping in the first issue?
They're what, $5 each?
They're $5 each, $4.99 or whatever. But
So it's $200.
$200 some dollars, and it's that's a whole nother story. Is why are you dropping them all at the same time? First off. Stagger that shit.
Well,
but
the reason for that is, like I said, that is a direct copy of DC. Because DC has been, like I said, I think for DC Metal, I forgot how
There's a lot of
covers.
covers.
There's a lot of different covers.
Tons of covers for that.
Here's the thing. I specifically wanted one cover. That's the cover I actually ended up going online to buy. I wanted the Midnight Release just because I said I like the logos. I said with the background of the Batman there. But I said all the other covers, there's some other cool covers out there, but it's the same story. I don't necessarily have to have that specific cover. Like I said, I got the one that I wanted, and I stopped after that.
So what's the landscape now out in Phoenix proper? Do we have a lot more smaller shops as opposed to bigger shops?
Well, here's the thing. We don't really have that many bigger shops. I think probably
we have a big shop.
Well, I think the biggest is Samurai. Just because I said I only consider them big is because of their chain.
Yeah.
Like I said, they have a few different locations. They have one in Central Phoenix. They have one over in the East Valley, and then
really one of the only shops here that actually has more than one physical store.
they basically took the place of Atomic Comics back in the day.
Which I'm very sad that they got out of the Chandler Mall, by the way. So if they can kind of bring that one back, that would be great.
I love that store.
That location was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. Like I said, the rent there, and I said,
"Well, guys,
what kind of drove them out of business." Like I said, and there's a lot of smaller shops. I actually like the smaller shops just because, like I said, I get to interact with some of the people. Like I said, there's a couple shops over on my side of town. Like I said, I have actually been to Jesse's place a couple times, interacted with him multiple times. But he's, like I said, the owner, Jesse James. He's there constantly. He's a super friendly guy. He'll try to get you whatever you want. Like I said, my wife has actually dealt with him directly to get me, like I said, a couple Christmas presents before of different issues that I've wanted. I said I've been to the Kamikaze before. They just moved locations over on the west side. So there's a lot of different smaller stores. So I think with their stores specifically, I think that's going to be a huge impact. And one, like I said, in revenue generated from the books, but two, just even traffic going into the store. Yeah. Because a lot of the times that when I'm going to the comic store specifically, I'll go in there for an issue, but I'll typically look around the entire store and end up
just to see what they have,
and probably end up buying something else.
Right. Well, my problem, I guess, with the way that Marvel's going about this is, if Jesse James's shop isn't going to be able to handle the volume to be able to get those lenticulars, who in Phoenix is? Like, how am I going to, if I wanted one, obviously I buy a lot of my comics digital, so it's not a really big deal for me, but if I did want to go and get that lenticular, I don't know where I would go to find it. I don't know a shop that would be able to order enough of the non-lenticular to get that. Without going online. I think I would have to go to somebody online and order that book.
And I feel like it's not even worth the trouble. Right?
Yeah.
Just hearing you guys talk about it, if I wanted to get it that day it comes out, I don't even think I'm going to go out in the heat and drive around and try to find that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on my phone and find it and buy it in 2 seconds on eBay.
Yeah.
What has the response been like from the shop owners of this new news?
I don't know. Scott, you read the article. I said I think Jesse is, like I said, he just kind of refused to carry it.
He based on the article, and it actually has a copy of the letter that Jesse sent. It was basically, hey, I'll help you find it online, and I'll do what I can to get you hooked up with a copy, but I'm not carrying any here. I can't.
So in terms of supporting the community, he's still going to be there for the fan
For the
base.
group,
Yeah.
right? But you're not getting it here. Like, there's no way I.
And
can
it's not
get you
because
that
I
copy.
can't, or it's not because I won't. It's because I can't.
I just
now.
can't afford it.
Yeah.
Like,
Like you said, you have a business to run. Like I said,
Yeah.
you have to be smart about your business decisions.
yeah.
Well, in the spirit of comics, so I learned recently that DC might be spinning off a Batman series. They might not be. Do you guys know anything about this?
The good old WTF WB. Warner Brothers.
I think that's the name of this week's episode.
It's got to be.
Sounds like a trending hashtag.
It is a trending hashtag. I honestly can tell you, I don't think Warner Brothers knows what the fuck they're doing, to be honest with you.
Well, their universe seems pretty rushed. I mean, they went with Superman and then they started up with the Batman. So it seems like they're trying to catch up to what Marvel has spent the last 10, 15 years doing.
Yeah, so they're trying to basically get Avengers without any framework of the Avengers. You're 100% correct.
Well, they have, 3 films to back up Justice
3
League?
films.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of those was Batman versus Superman, which made the two of their main characters fight, and one of them die. Like, it was one of the things where DC. So what Leo's bringing up is there's a ton of shit that actually kind of goes along with that. I also drew a dick on Leo's computer, so that's one of the things.
I just can't look at it anymore.
It makes him laugh every time. So basically, so the Batman movie, apparently with Ben Affleck as still as Batman, was not going to be part of the whole Justice League movie universe.
So this was a conversation that someone had with Matt Reeves, correct? Yeah.
Right, yeah. So he was like, no, this is a standalone movie. It has nothing to do with Justice League.
So they basically wanted a Christopher Nolan all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
They would do a separate trilogy, but then
a
a mere 24 hours later,
right,
like I said,
within minutes, they came back and were like, no.
it is
part.
Yeah, Batman is part of the.
So did they
DCEU universe.
recant their story, or did they simply just amend
It was amendment.
Yeah, it was. Hey, you took this out of context when we said, hey, he's basically treated as a standalone movie.
But it doesn't really sound like there was any context to be taken out of.
Not really.
It's just quick backtracking, probably, but whatever. It still just sounds like everything they're doing is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
What are their plans for? I mean, they've got Wonder Woman already done, Justice League. So do they not have plans for Flash?
No, they do Cyborg,
They do?
Flash.
Flash?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Aquaman.
they have plans. No one knows what
Here's-
the hell they are.
Here's the thing. So
So it's not like they didn't have movies to make.
no.
No, not at all. They have plenty of movies that they could bust out.
Isn't Aquaman already finished or almost wrapped up?
I think it's almost done, and they were commenting about how editing scenes that were to be underwater was going to be challenging. So I'm assuming they're in the editing phase of that one right now.
Well, and here's the thing too. So they could fix this entire thing. They could literally hit the reset button on the DC Extended Universe, and I am hoping kind of that they do. But if they do it right, they can basically turn this into all these crap movies into basically the best mistake possible. Hey, they've made their money. They can hit the reset switch and start fresh. And that's because DC said so. Leo, you brought up specifically the Flash movie. The Flash movie, we already have the title at. It's Flashpoint. So with Flashpoint, it's basically for the story. For spoiler alert, I don't know. Like I said, this is a story that's been around forever. But basically, Barry goes back in time. Instead of having the reverse Flash basically kill his mom, he basically saves his mom, kills the reverse Flash, and it alters the timeline. In this new altered timeline, like I said, I'm speaking towards the Flashpoint comic and animated film, not the Warner Brothers series on CW right now.
Which lasted one episode for what reason? I don't know.
Flashpoint in there was completely done horrible.
Garbage.
But basically, it changes the entire universe. So instead of Bruce Wayne being Batman, it's actually Thomas Wayne,
Right.
and he's a killer.
Yeah,
and,
he shoots people.
and he goes out of his way to murder and torture people.
He's basically the Batman from the new Justice League movie.
Absolutely.
Is Thomas Wayne, so they don't really have to change that all that much.
So
My favorite part of the Flashpoint is actually Superman that instead of landing out by the Kents, lands in the middle of a city, and the government picks him up, and he's like, they keep him under red sunlight, so he's this frail little like homeless man.
Yeah, he's like a little stick figure.
His little stick figure like looks homeless, but still has all of his like Superman power.
Yeah.
So you brought up a good comment that now I have a question on. So Justice League or the DC extended universe has been established and what have you, but CW's got series going on. Are those not overlapping
They
at
are
all?
not.
Not at all.
So we now have
the TV universe is separate from the movie
we have
universe.
conflicting universes happening at the same time.
So I see what's
independently.
going on in your brain. Yes, there are now two distinctly separate Flashes, and
let's make a separate Batman movie.
Let's make a separate Batman movie now.
So DC's they're just reaching for
They don't know what
cash,
they're doing.
It sounds like.
Even with DC, I mean, right now they're doing a movie that no one wanted, and it's going to be directed by somebody awesome. Like, I don't understand how to feel about this movie. They have a Joker origin story,
which has never been done.
Okay, so we're changing subjects.
We are changing subjects. Sorry.
We're changing subjects. So, also on the news flash. Well, first, before we talk about it, Larry, I want to get your thoughts on this whole Batman controversy. Where does he fit in? What do you think?
I think it's weird, right? Like, the only other reference point I have is like Marvel. So if you took, say, Iron Man, and be like, hey, let's make an Iron Man movie that has nothing to do with these other 10 MCU movies we've set up. Like, that just wouldn't happen, right? Like, it just wouldn't happen. They're not going to do that. People would probably still go see it, but it would be weird. Even if it was Robert Downey Jr. or not Robert Downey Jr., I don't see how this makes any sense to them when they're trying to build something special and they're just going to blow it up that fast.
No, I see your point, Ellen. Here's the thing, too. So you make a very interesting point, because here's the thing. Even though Marvel didn't invent the superhero genre and the superhero franchise or the superhero
movie,
world, the superhero movie, I said they basically invented the connected world. I said the connected cinema world of, hey, basically everything's connected. Because here's the thing. So before any of these Marvel movies, I said, who sat through the credits? No one sat through the credits for
Never did.
For any movie.
Sure.
Now, like I said, you go into a Marvel movie, like I said, you have the entire theater almost still in their
you
seats.
do it in any movie.
Yeah.
now.
Any movie now,
Yeah.
because anyone might.
Yeah, it might have, like I said, an extra scene at the end that alludes to something
I have
else.
a 4-year-old. Fucking the Trolls movie has an end credit scene. Trolls, a child's movie, has taken over, or like taken hints from Marvel to actually put something in there. That wasn't needed, but it was there.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. So my whole point with that is, like I said, there's other movies, there's other companies, there's studios that are copying basically Marvel's formula for interconnected movies. Warner Brothers, take a lesson and follow their formula. Like I said, it's one of those things where you can basically have the smallest connective tissue between these movies. You don't have to have them so interconnected and so interdependent, because you could watch any of these movies. You can watch any of the Iron Mans, you can watch Hulk, you can watch Thor, you can watch anything else as a standalone movie and not know that something else exists. But there's such a tiny thread that's interwoven through those movies where the fanboy or the typical fan knows, like, hey, you know what? I'm paying attention to that specifically because I know that's going to be something in the next movie.
So I feel like they're going to start confusing people too, right?
If they haven't already, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm confused. I'm confused. These movies aren't even coming out yet. But if they start releasing things that are outside of their universe, I feel like we all get how that works, how that's interconnected. But I think we're also forgetting that a lot of people don't, right? I still hear people wondering why Wolverine isn't part of the Avengers or whatever, right? They don't get the whole Fox thing. They don't understand what a big deal it was that Disney and Sony became friends enough where Spider-Man could be in the movies. If you start making, especially a Ben Affleck Batman movie that's not part of this universe, when they already know that Ben Affleck is Batman,
But they have the same person playing Batman.
Yeah, it's going to be so confusing to the casual fan who not really that invested in it.
No, like I said, it's one thing. And then, so you were about to bring up before I interrupted you, Scott.
Yes.
Was the other news
There's
this week?
2 new movies that they announced, actually.
Yeah.
I think 3 at this point. I think they dropped another hint today. They dropped another, that there's a sequel to Suicide Squad coming up. So
Well, they had the sequel to Suicide Squad. So they were talking about, There's the 2 Joker movies.
There's the 2 Joker movies. Jesus Christ.
2 Joker movies?
Oh,
Yeah, so this...
Okay, so let's cover one first. Let's do
Clusterfuck, by the way,
Yeah,
is the best way I can describe anything about this.
So before we get into origins, let's talk about, like I said, Gotham City Sirens. So Gotham City Sirens is basically supposed to be the Harley Quinn, female-centric Batman villain.
Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
All your strong female leads together in one movie.
Yeah, so they went ahead and scrapped that idea. You know what? Let's just have a Harley Quinn and Joker movie. And basically, who's it directed by, Scott?
You know what? I'm forgetting the names, but it's basically the people that are directing it and writing it, everything, have only done rom-coms.
They're what, 5th-year film
Not
students?
like physical. Their entire filmography is like romantic comedies.
Oh,
So they're going to try to
work.
take a character of an abusive relationship where the Joker doesn't actually like give 2 shits, but kind of does, of Harley, and sacrifices her quite a few times. They're going to try to make that into like, it's going to be like this comedy psycho movie. Like,
Well, and here's the thing.
it's-
So
it's
I'm willing to
bullshit.
I'm willing to give them. I'll have to credit them in the comments. But I said I forgot who's directing it. But I'm going to give them the benefit without directing it because, like I said,
You're the only one.
Because like I said, I give the Russo brothers. I said a break. Their claim to fame. Like I said, they worked with Ron Howard and with on Arrested Development. I said their whole thing was funny TV series. That's where the Russo brothers
And they
got the
nailed
start.
it.
And they nailed Arrested Development. And so that's why you have, like I said, the humor, like the slight humor and stuff like that in, like I said, Civil War and like in Captain America, Winter Soldier, and things like that. So they were able to bring that action and that comedy together.
So just so you know, the movie, the person that was, as of right now, the director for the Joker and Harley movie is the This Is Us same person who did that shitty movie.
That's a TV show, right? That's
the Mandy Moore show, isn't
That's
it?
the Mandy Moore. Yeah,
NBC?
they're the one.
not a
Yeah,
NBC show, yeah.
yeah. So they're the one. That's who will be directing the Harley Quinn Joker movie.
All right.
And how far out in the future are they getting on this stuff, right? Because I just brought up a list because there were a couple things that I had forgotten about that we hadn't just mentioned, right? So we talked about Aquaman. There's a Shazam movie.
Shazam!
Shazam!
There's Wonder Woman 2, of course. Cyborg, Green Lantern Corps, Batgirl, plus these Joker movies and
Because they
possible
can't
Batman.
introduce a Robin, but we get a Batgirl.
Oh, I saw Nightwing on the list too.
Oh, Nightwing! Hooray!
I feel like they're just like, hey, we have this character, let's make a movie, but they don't have a plan.
So I'm really hoping that at least with a Nightwing movie, the one thing I'm hoping for, and if this becomes a fucking thing, DCEU owe me fucking money for this. You had Scott Eastwood.
Wait. You heard it here first on the STS Guys.
The STS Guys, right. So you have Scott Eastwood, a decently good actor, in Suicide Squad playing unnamed soldier number 1, right? Clint Eastwood's fucking son was one of your people, and you didn't do anything with him.
Yeah, that seems a little counterintuitive.
Undercover Nightwing. Make him Nightwing.
Yeah.
Put him as Nightwing. He survived the bomb. That was Nightwing. Now he's back. Like, they had the whole freaking, Nightwing as a government agent for a little bit in the comic book story. Put him as that's what he was doing. That's where he was. You actually give me a decent movie. Blow everyone's fucking minds. Is DC smart enough to do that? No.
No, by the sound of it, they're probably going to cancel the movie or they'll go back on their word saying that, no, never mind, we're not doing this movie.
Because wouldn't like Matt Damon just make a better Nightwing or something like
Matt
that?
Damon. No. They're going to go...
If Matt Damon
No. They're going to go get...
opposite Ben Affleck,
They're going to go get...
I will shit my pants.
Yeah, I'll shit my pants, but they're gonna go get Meth Damon from Breaking Bad to go be that character instead. They're gonna get the retard Matt Damon and have him be the one instead. Like, they can't afford Matt Damon for the Nightwing.
So we got sidetracked with Nightwing. the other potential Joker movie, like I said, here's the thing. This is
the one that I brought up.
This
which
one is confirmed not to be connected to the DC Extended Universe.
So it's confirmed to happen and confirmed to be outside of the
Outside
universe.
of it. Well, and here's the thing.
And
And the reason why is because they don't want, basically, they're trying to hire the big time directors and producers to these movies without having to have the necessary thread of interconnecting into something else. So the director they got,
It's huge news.
yeah, Martin Scorsese.
Martin Scorsese directing a comic book movie. Who I would have
in a million years.
gladly paid money to have that happen with any other movie that came
I would
out.
have done the Kickstarter for that.
Right. 100%.
And they probably would have gone bankrupt.
Yeah. Well, if they would have done anything other than what they did, they would have made money.
Yeah, so
But it's the book that it's the story that no one wanted.
so
But because it doesn't exist, though, right?
well, it doesn't. There's not a firm origin story for the Joker.
Right.
So wouldn't you want a great director like Scorsese to put something like that together?
But my problem is, the Joker works best having the ambiguous story.
The mystery of the Joker.
I don't give two craps who the Joker was before he became the Joker. He is such a great character as the Joker. I just want him as the Joker.
Yeah.
It's been, 50, 60 years since the Joker first came out? If we've survived this long, do we really need anyone, even Martin Scorsese, to go ahead and give us an origin story?
Yeah, we 100% don't need an origin story of the Joker. One of the things, we had talked a little bit about this before, and one of the things we were talking about is, in the comics, there is no definitive Joker origin story. You have the closest thing that people think might be the story is Under the Red Hood, right? That's probably the most definitive answer to who was the Joker before he was the Joker. But that story is kind of a one-off side shot. Really isn't 100%. We're not sure how canon that whole story is.
Multiple people come out and said that's not canon.
Right. So we don't even know if that is actually the intended origin of this character.
So I do want to ask, though, because the villains that we've had in the DC Extended Universe so far have been outside of like the Christopher Nolan series. Do you think that adding a Joker movie or origin movie might clash with what was... I know they're separate, but I mean, like, to Larry's point, like, people are going to... I was confused when Batman came back again for the third time. So do you think that this would just clash and confuse people more? I mean, it's going to be a different Joker anyway, right?
100%. You just bring in another Joker that's not part of this universe at the same time as their universe movies are coming out?
As much as I'm excited to not have Jared Leto as the Joker.
Good God, thank you.
Yeah, as much as I'm excited to put his Joker behind everybody, literally having a... Here's the thing. If it was done 5-10 years from now, when, like I said, kind of movies have died down, the extended universe has been over for like, a couple
it's like
of years.
when we had a pause between the Batmans in the 90s.
Yeah, and then Batman Begins. I
Right.
think you could technically even do it then. Would you really want to see it? Probably not. I think now it's just going to confuse people because, like I said, you have a property, the Joker, that's in the DC Extended Universe, but now you have the standalone, the Joker movie, that's not part of it. So seeing them basically kind of relating the two together, I think it's going to confuse audiences. I think it's going to put a lot of people off.
Well, there's no demand for Joker, right? I mean, DC is not without villains. They could have another villain they could do an origin story on, right?
Another great character. You could do another Batman character, Clayface. Give us a Clayface, a person who can turn into anybody.
Oh,
give me a Clayface movie.
I would fucking kill for a Clayface
right?
movie.
Why do we have to have a Joker, a character that's been introduced? What, in the last 10 years we've had
Three
versions of it with the animated versions?
Well, here's the thing. Or, like I said, you know what I would absolutely fucking love is if they did a live adaptation of Massive Phantasm. If they did a live adaptation of that, you can kind of, like I said, weave in your Joker story into that a little bit.
How about this? Let's do a live action Under the Red Hood.
Oh, yeah. See? that.
Bring in the Red Hood, the fucking Jason Todd getting beat to almost to death with a crowbar.
Well, here's the thing: you have the upshot of that because you saw like the tattered costume.
You have it set up, yeah.
Yes, you have it set up already.
Just give me that. Connect it back into and say this is where that we have the ha 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 on the freaking Robin costume from Batman vs Superman. Give me the origin of that costume. What happened? It has bullet holes and shit in it. Tell me what happened to that. That's what I want to know. And you don't have to bring up anything from the other movies. You can keep that as a separate thing and have the costume as the tying character.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, we talked about DC Extended Universe. I think we're done with that. talk about any interesting purchases this week, guys? Whoa. Interesting purchases?
Yeah, I was going to go on you on that one. I was going to give you a chance to redeem it there.
I redeemed it.
We made it 40 minutes without him tearing up himself.
After inaugurals last week.
Inaugural.
You know that's gonna have to be a thing, right? You're gonna have to trip over yourself at least once.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be a story. We're just gonna have to have bets as to when it's gonna happen. Because if was
maybe we can turn that into a contest.
It is a contest.
Price is Right rules.
Guess it. Yeah, closest without going over.
Hey, what's the over under for Jeremy that fucking up the audio?
Right. Is it gonna be within the first 5 minutes like episode 1, or 45 minutes in is episode 2? Interesting purchase. This kind of leads into some other videos that you actually might see, but we did have, I just got in, this month's Loot Crate, and just did, actually have a video of me opening it. So that was a pretty fun
So we'll get that up
video.
on YouTube this week, right?
Yeah, so we'll have that video up. So yeah, a lot of, this week actually ends up being pretty cool, because it's kind of when all of our kind of boxes and subscription boxes or pull boxes and everything actually shows up.
So I said I haven't gotten my bag box yet. So hopefully that shipping goes up pretty soon. So hopefully by next week we might have that unboxing. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
We'll see which Jeremy and I both get that box. So we'll see if either of us get leveled up and get something cool in there.
Yes. We're definitely looking forward to that. The only thing I picked up this week is Barnes & Noble actually had a pretty killer sale on some stuff. So I picked up
which you didn't tell me until after the fucking sale was over.
Excuse me, fucking sir. The sale is still going on until midnight tonight.
Yeah, nothing good is left anymore. Everything good was sold out.
I looked yesterday too.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
It's like when you go after the slim pickings the day before prom, and all you got is that gross girl that picture knows in public. That's what you left me with.
Hey, you still have a date.
I still have a date, but I don't need the 1969 Batman Adam West figure. That's still left on fucking Barnes & Noble.
Well, I apologize. Next time I will set out an announcement. Not like you guys don't have, like I said, the fucking internet to actually research sales. I said I picked up a couple statues. There's a Kodabukaya Deadpool, a black Deadpool figure I picked up. I'll probably be doing a video review on that one next week, as well as a Reddit Sentinel Iron Patriot. That figure is badass.
I saw the Instagram photo of that thing. That thing is killer.
I took that out of the box. That is probably the most detailed figure I have ever seen.
Now, does that actually light up? Does the chest piece light up?
It actually lights up. The eyes light up, and then the chest piece lights up.
It was dirt cheap too, right?
Yeah. I picked that up for like $30, and
that's awesome.
And normally it's like a $200 figure, so it was pretty awesome.
I think that's the winning purchase of the week.
Yeah. I think what you got is miles above what Larry and I got, or what Leo picked up.
So the only thing I got is I bought a plushie because I'm an adult. Amazon had the Star Wars Galactic plushie of Jabba the Hutt and Salacious Crumb for $3.54. So that's really the only thing I got was a stuffed animal.
And that's the saddest thing is I still have that on my wish list, and I'm waiting for a decent purchase so
I
can add that on.
But here's the thing. You said, Larry, you have a kid. Scott, you have a kid. I don't have any kids, but I still want the plushie for myself.
The saddest thing is, a couple of times Leo has gotten plushies in his some of the boxes and things that he's got, and he's like, "I don't want this. Give this to your daughter." I'm actually pretty sure she has a Wampa in the other room right now that she sleeps with. That Leo had actually gotten in.
It's Mr. Wheel.
It's Mr. Wheel. Mr. Wheel. That he had gotten from
Smuggler's Bounty.
Smuggler's Bounty, right?
Yeah.
So I actually didn't have any purchases this week, but Jeremy and Scott and I used to work together, and about a year ago we would be collecting Funko Pops, and Jeremy, being the best friend that he is, sent me a screenshot of Funko's Instagram post that one of my favorite Christmas movies will be rolling out Funko Pops. Complete with the iron mark on Bad Guy's head. So I will more than definitely be picking up all of those pops. And I think you've relapsed me into my Funko Pop collection. So I'm Leo.
Green check mark for Leo. What Leo's referring to is
Marv.
It's
Home
you
Alone.
have the Home Alone Funko Pop. So you have Kevin McAllister, and then you have. I guess in that one, there's still the Wet Bandits, right?
So
you have the
it's
Wet
the original
Bandits.
one.
So it's the original Home Alone 1 versions of I know it's Marv, and then I forget
Harry.
Harry and Marv. Right?
Harry.
Harry. So yeah, and it has. So one of the guys, it has the burn mark on the head from the blowtorch that he hooks up to the door. The iron mark, the iron that he drops down the laundry chute. Like.
Well, then you have Kevin with his BB gun in one hand, and I think it was the
iron.
The iron
in the other one,
yeah.
Right? So it's.
I'm gonna be
same
picky.
line.
Well, here's the
Probably
thing.
with you on that one.
Available right now for pre-order on Amazon. So
Very well.
So you can basically, it's almost like shopping now but paying later.
Yeah.
So,
It's as good as credit.
it's
It's as good as credit.
Now I will say,
It's
I
like
had
shopping QVC.
I had a pretty, well, I say this, but now I know you two that have in the hundreds of Funko Pops. I had a pretty robust collection. That
I thought I was good at like 10.
and that's where I was. I think I was in maybe the 40s, 50s.
I was
and
lucky
ended
that
up-
for a video earlier, I brought out a Deadpool that I had that Jeremy was like, well, I don't think we have one here. Like, I was able to bring one out. I was like, yay, I'm accomplished. I have 5 of them here.
I did sell a lot of mine now that I regret now, of course. But I did keep a couple, one of which was Clark Griswold's Funko Pop. I mean, you can't get rid of that. You know, it's the holidays and we're all in misery.
You've got a solid Christmas theme collection.
I do.
going
I
still.
do.
Yeah. Leo's collections are all themed.
Okay.
Yes.
So here's the thing. So I was thinking, because you're talking about the wet menace, if they had a chase version as the sticky bandits.
I would love the
Yes.
sticky bandits.
Basically, they had duct tape
Yeah.
around their
I
head.
would love the version 2 with the brick mark
Yep.
from the
Yeah,
bricks.
and the brick mark
And the
then-
tarred and feathered from the freaking Central Park from the
Yeah.
Weird Bird Lady.
I'd almost want Weird Bird Lady. As a
I
Funko
want
Pop.
Weird Bird Lady.
I would
as
want
a-
Weird Bird Lady.
That could be the Kohl's exclusive that no
Only
one
at
wants to go
Kohl's.
to.
The Coles one, yeah. You heard it here first.
Yeah. I'm giving you
Alright.
ideas, people. Come on.
We are getting ready to wrap up here for this week's episode. Larry,
So yeah, just one real quick thing, right? We talked about a couple times that we've got some unboxing videos going to drop on YouTube. Jeremy will throw episode 2 of the STS Guys podcast up there real soon too. So if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, be sure to do that. We've got some things growing real quick this week. We're also live on most of the social media, right? So we've got Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you just search for STS Guys, it should come up.
I think Facebook is the STS Guys because some jackass group down in Kentucky has decided STS Guys is theirs.
Not cool. But anyhow, we can throw links up in the show notes. But yeah, some good stuff. And like Scott said, stay tuned because Loot Crate unboxing video will probably give away one of the items as a prize for our first ever contest.
yeah, comment, reach out to us on any of the social media forums. We said you'll get a response. So let us know.
Tell us what you liked about what we go over. What didn't you like? What should we go over in the
And
future?
what do you wanna see?
Yeah, what do you want to see? Like, should we talk about something else? I mean, obviously
Should Scott draw more pics of dicks on Leo's computer?
I'd rather
that's
he did.
always a yes. Leo says no.
No.
But what his body's saying is yes.
So I think next week, right? We already talked a little bit. Game of Thrones season finale is going to be this weekend, Sunday.
Yes.
So
Yes.
next week we'll at least spend a decent amount of time recapping Game of Thrones and talking fan theories,
GOT.
and try to figure out what's going to happen next.
And apparently, there's some new developments on some Game of Thrones licensed material, like things that we can go over. I think there's been some updates on some Game of Thrones shit that we can talk about as well. So it'll be pretty
Sounds
cool.
good. So next week's episode, Game of Thrones and more. And for this week, that's it, guys. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Leo.
Larry.
We are the STS Guys. Have a good night.